may have heard about the Robbins Island wind farm project and Jims Plains solar and wind farm going on in Circular Head. Well, there's also a proposal to build a transmission line to carry that energy all the way to Hampshire. It will cut through Circular Head and Waratah-Wynyard and part of the Burnie City Council's local government areas. There's been a bit of coverage on the issue. Some people are for it, some people are against it. So we've had a chat to one of the local property owners and tourist businesses in Meunna. Maree Jenkins is the operator of the Tarkine Wilderness Lodge. We visited Maree on her property. So what did this property used to be before you took over it?
I think it was mainly used for back in the olden days for trapping possums, because it's the possum fur was quite thick back here because it was a lot colder than other areas. So and back then there was a lot of money in possum fur. So yeah, mainly I think they used to get into the possums out here.
So was it Henry Hellier that named this area and the ranges around here?
He did actually name quite a few of them. Yeah, early explorer, one of the early explorers. Yeah, so yeah, Henry Hellier actually they came from Stanley. There was him and four other guys. A couple of them were ex-convicts, and they got to Dipwood Plains here, and then the other two guys were knackered. That was as far as they wanted to go. So Henry Hellier set off to Valentine's Peak with another guy. It took them 19 days to get to Valentine's Peak, and they got back to Kimberley Hills and let off a rifle shot. They didn't really think that the other two guys would still be there, but they got a return fire. So they eventually caught up with them, and when they got there, the horse that was actually left there was gone. I think they must have got a bit hungry and ate the horse. But yeah, and then on the way out, they used to burn behind them to make it easier for the next time they went through there. So they set fire to it as they were leaving, and they got a wind change. So they nearly burnt themselves. So they had to do a quick exit out of there. Yeah, back to Stanley.
Maree has had her own battles with fire in Meunna too, with Tasmanian Fire Service burns, wild bushfires, and often made worse by off-site land users and managers. And realising that the nature connection that she hopes to see and hopes to provide for her visitors also has some challenges of its own.
No, didn't even get a phone call.
So that wasn't to do with the fires back in 2016?
No, I think they had a coop they were burning on the other side. And then next minute the chopper just started napalming, like the Buttongrass Plains, and I thought, Aiko and I nearly were going to go in there that day, walk up to the plains. I thought, geez, we were lucky we didn't get in there. Not even a phone call. I rang them and just said, common courtesy would be, we're guided, we do guided rainforest walks, and one of our licenses actually goes up there. And you just firebombed it without even ringing us. And got no reply from them either.
A bit dangerous. So that was the TFS, Tasmanian Fire Service. Yeah.
They had it on their map as Mount Dipwood at Priolina. And I went, it's not even Priolina yet. That's me only, you dickheads. Yeah.
So what was your vision for the property when you came here?
When I first came here, we actually farmed cattle. So I had pole Herefords that I used to breed young ones from them every year. And and then we just slowly watching all the beautiful temperate rainforest disappear to logging, and just decided one day the same thing, the areas out here, Meunna, Priolina, which is all soldier settlement area, which was all farmed for dairying and seed potato industry, all went into plantation timber, and that's when and not only were they taking over the farms, they were also into the old growth forest. So I just thought to myself one day that if we didn't actually do something out here to try and bring tourism into this area to show them how absolutely amazing this forest is, that it would all be gone. So that's why I decided to build the Tarkine Wilderness Lodge and open it up to the public.
And has it been successful your tourist operation?
Yeah, my word, it has. Yeah. People just they're just in awe of the forest. That's what brings the people here, is the tarkine and how special that old growth forest is.
And so the lodge here has been wonderfully constructed. How long has it been here in this current state?
I've been operating the lodge now for 10 years, going on 11 years. It took us 6 years to build it. So yeah, it's all built out of recycled macrocarpa pine that my ex-partner Richard sourced from the local farmers that were going to burn it all. And then we bought a portable Lucas sawmill and milled it all here on site. Local builder, Daryl Shepherd, put it all together for us. And yeah, pretty amazing building.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best buildings around the area. Waratah-Wynyard has on offer.
Yeah, I'd say so. And yeah, we're lucky enough. We've won a few. We're advanced eco accreditation, and yeah, we won quite a few awards and whatnot. So yeah, must be doing the right thing. And we get return visitors all the time, so that's another thing that kind of tells you that you're doing the right thing when you get return visitors, especially when they come from places like Germany.
Tarkine Wilderness Lodge is now facing the development of UPC Renewables high voltage overhead transmission lines across the southern view of the lodge towards the Arthur River and Phantom Peak. We asked Maree more details about what was going on. Alrighty, so whereabouts is the transmission line proposed for?
Well, the transmission lines and towers will come in between that ridge line there where the eucalypts are and Eagle Hill. They'll come through the centre of that and then head straight across our viewscape, straight across the front of Phantom Peak, and then head out towards Codie. And also we've got the wedge-tailed eagles that live here. I think there's the nest down here and where the eucalypts are through there, so it's fairly close to where there's an eagle's nest.
Do you want UPC Renewables to build a transmission line?
Definitely not. No.
Why not?
I think it's a bad idea. Mainly it worries me just because of the amount of forests that they're going to have to clear, and the migratory birds. And there's quite a few Tasmanians that really will be affected by these transmission lines and towers. And it'll definitely put a dampener on our business here because we rely on the wilderness as part of business here, and they'll be taking away that wilderness aspect of our business. So it's pretty confusing, really, and you get nothing really on paper from them. They have been doing a little bit of viewscape modelling for us here, but to tell you the truth, I don't really trust the viewscape modelling at all. We dealt with that with Forestry Tasmania back in 2003 when they were logging a coop here in front of us. And yeah, we were like test case for the tourism forestry protocol then. But as you can see, we can see that coop that they said that we wouldn't be able to see. So therefore, I'm very doubtful that UPC Renewables can put a transmission line and tower through there without us actually seeing it, which is what they reckon they can do. Well, to start with, they said that, and now they're telling us that we'll actually see the tops of 2 towers.
Yep. So they told you whereabouts the towers were going to be located?
Not really, no.
So would it be likely they'd be on the tops of the hills around here?
I would say so, yeah. I'd say they'd be on the tops of the hills. Yeah, and then the lines would go down through the gullies.
So if they do put the lines as overhead transmission lines, will you be able to see the clearing underneath, do you think?
I can't see how you could not see it. I mean, when we stand here now looking at it, I can't see how they can possibly put a big clearing through there and that we wouldn't see it. And we've got nothing in writing either. This has all just been lip service that we've got so far from UPC Renewables. So we've had no guarantees in writing at all that we won't see it or that it'll blend in with our viewscape or whatever.
So you don't think you can trust them at this stage?
No, I don't think so. No, definitely not.
So how many interactions have you had with UPC Renewables in this discussion phase?
Probably about 3 meetings so far with UPC Renewables, and a couple of those were where I actually went to meet with them because they'd gone so quiet. They were going to get back in contact with me and they never did, so I ended up going to one of the meetings up at Yolla just to show them that I am still here and I am still interested in what you're doing. And because they wouldn't come to me, I decided, well, I should go to them.
And so what have you requested from them, apart from more discussions? What are your specific requests or demands?
Basically, that we that they can put it through there without us seeing it. That's I've fought really hard for my viewscape out here over the years, and I really want to keep it all intact. Yep. So they've given us maybe we could do some other options of different ways to go rather than going through here. They could go over through Mount Dipwood, but I've been told that we'd actually see more of the lines and towers if they went that way.
Yeah. So, do you know why they won't build the transmission line anywhere else? Why are they insistent on going through this section right in front of the view of the lodge?
Probably because it's the cheapest way for them to go. They'll give you they try and tell me that this isn't the Tarkine, and I've said to Colin quite a few times that it is actually the northern edge of the Tarkine that they will be going through. And also I can duck guided rainforest walks into the forest. One of them goes to the Arthur River, so to do that track now you'd have to go under the towers and the lines in the future. So
so it's not just the view that's been impacted, it's actually the relationship you have with the area as well.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
And as far as wildlife in the area, do you think there are any animals or species that are threatened by this transmission line project?
Definitely, my biggest concern would be for the wedge-tailed eagles. Because they've lived out here long. I've been here for 30 years. Those eagles were here before I've ever got here. And I'm just so concerned that they won't see those lines. They'll just fly straight into them. So that's my biggest concern as far as the animals go.
So are there any other minor concerns you have apart from the wedge-tailed eagles?
Just that they disrupt all the other the rainforest, and there'll be clear felling forests, so there's loss of habitat for all the other different species as well.
And so what do you think about renewable wind power generation? Obviously this transmission line's coming from wind power proposal. Are you against wind turbine technologies and electrical generation?
No, not at all. I just think there's if they're in the right place, they're a good thing. The wind turbines, but they've got to be in the right place, and maybe taking them offshore too, because or follow the existing lines or something. But we can't just keep putting new towers and lines all across our beautiful viewscapes in our Tasmanian environment. You just can't do it. I mean, we invested heavily in our solar technology here. We've got the 12 kilowatt solar array, and one of the reasons we actually went with the solar was so that we didn't have to have towers and lines put in through.
Yep. So what do you think about the Robbins Island wind farm proposal? Are you in two minds because of the transmission line impacts, or would you support the wind farm if the line was going somewhere else?
It depends. I don't want to push it out someone else's back door and give them the same problem that I've got. But if they could follow existing lines or maybe take it offshore, I think it'd be a good idea. But it's the way it is at the moment. It's just not on. Just the environmental reasons mainly.
So what other strategies have you tried to make people aware of and politicians aware of what's going on with this issue?
I've shared quite a few articles on Facebook, and I've also written letters to Jackie Lambie, Roger Yance, Guy Barnett, and the Premier as well.
What has their response been?
Haven't had a response from any of them as yet.
Why do you think that's the case?
Probably because they don't want to know about it, and I'm only a small business here, and they're probably more interested in looking after the bigger business rather than the smaller business operators.
So have Tourism Tasmania or the new North West regional tourism body, West by North West, have they contacted you and interacted with you about your role in this area?
No, not at all. No. Things have been pretty difficult for us out here. The day that the DA went in to the advocate, to build the Tarkine Wilderness Lodge and 25 cabins out here. The then Mayor of the Waratah-Wynyard Council, in the same paper, made the announcement that Waratah was the gateway to the Tarkine. From then on, we just basically we've been up against Forestry Tasmania at the time. That was our next one. Then we had an exploration lease over our property, so that was another thing that we had to fight. And and now we've got UPC Renewables with their transmission lines and towers. So it's not easy, trying to run a business here.
So what will you do if they ignore you?
Direct action. I think that's the next thing. So,
So what does that mean for you?
It means being on the ground down there, I guess, and just making it more public what they're doing.
So what do you think councillors and council staff should consider when assessing this development application to build the overhead transmission line through the area?
I think they should take into consideration that that a lot of people use this area. It's the northern edge of the Tarkine. It's kind of the gateway to that northern edge of the Tarkine. For a lot of locals and recreational people use this area, and as well as the potential for future tourism development in this area.
All right, thanks for talking with us, Maree.
It's Codie.